It's a confusing time for fans of Manchester United Football Club. On the pitch, our team is doing brilliantly under new manager Erik Ten Hag. With the Carabao Cup already in our trophy room, this week we've got a Europa League quarter-final decider in Seville, followed by an FA Cup semi-final against Brighton back at Wembley. We're also looking like firm favourites to finish in the top four, despite a never-ending injury list, with Sandro Martinez sadly out for the rest of the season, and with Varane, Sabitzer and Rashford all among those sidelined at the weekend just gone, Ten Hag has managed our squad magnificently. The return of Casemiro from his 4-match ban has been a huge boost, and even though we know our squad needs strengthening before next season, the new manager has worked wonders with our current squad up to this point. The immediate consequence of this brilliant start to the Ten Hag era is that the prospect of more success has given our owners new reasons to extend their control of our football club. And that is why fans are preparing for what could be the biggest protest we've ever seen against the owners here on April the 30th, the day we play Aston Villa in the Premier League. By then we could have a totally different picture of how our season is looking, but whatever happens out on the pitch, fans will demand answers off it. It's a scandal of epic proportions that our football club is approaching a staggering £1 billion in debt. And when the markets opened in New York at the start of this week's trading, shares immediately crashed by 13%. A sure sign that the markets at least think the Glazers have decided against a full sale of Manchester United Football Club. The fact remains that the Glazers are desperate for cash, and while the share price will fluctuate as this saga continues to drag on, there are big obstacles to overcome. The current owners don't have the money to fix a stadium and our training ground, that's for sure, and that was confirmed months ago by Chief Executive Richard Arnold. So it was no surprise when the Glazers appointed the Rain Group to explore the options, to explore investment options, and consequently we've seen a number of interested parties. Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, Sheikh Jazim and his Qatari bid, Thomas Ziliakis advocating a fan ownership model, and a whole host of investment companies ready to give the Glazers the alternative to a full sale. It's that option of a partial investment keeping the Glazers in control at Old Trafford that's remobilising our supporters and influencing the markets. Led by the 1958 group, supporters will make their voices heard over the bank holiday weekend at the end of this month. It's universally accepted by supporters that we urgently need a solution. At every home match, home and away, supporters inside the stadium have made it clear we want the Glazers out. But this is where things get messy. While the owners look for a lifeline via third-party investment, supporters are divided over what's best for our football club. There are those of us who are strongly against being state-owned, and there's a growing realisation within the Premier League that it was a huge mistake to allow our neighbours Manchester City and now Newcastle United to become state-sponsored. We've already seen how City's Abu Dhabi-sponsored wealth has distorted the shape of the Premier League. City struggle to fill their stadium, but they're collecting trophies on a regular basis, and this season could even win the treble. Added incentive for United to win the FA Cup if we can get past Brighton on Sunday. Newcastle don't yet have a squad big enough to dominate, but we've already seen huge progress made by Eddie Howe since Saudi Arabia took control. It's only a matter of time before the Saudis change the shape of the Premier League as things stand. I totally understand why many Manchester United fans favour the state-sponsored wealth of the Qatari bid, because the promise of untold riches will make it much easier for Manchester United to get back to dominating English football. But there's always another way, and that's why I've been campaigning for a fan ownership model for English football. It's not too late to adopt the German model, where fans must control a majority stake at every club in the top 2 divisions. We also need all clubs to stick to financial fair play rules, and that's right across Europe, not just here in the UK. We all know that commercially, the English Premier League is the dominant force in Europe, and what happens here will affect the rest of Europe. The question is, do we have the leadership to make changes that will benefit and protect our football game from simply becoming dominated by those with the richest owners? I've heard noises that Arsenal Football Club want to make a stand. That Arsenal Football Club want to make a stand against state-sponsored ownership, but it'll take a groundswell of support from other clubs and, crucially, from supporters right across the board to make that happen. When we stopped the breakaway European Super League a couple of years ago, we saw just how powerful a unified voice can be. I believe we need that unity now to stop our game being hijacked by Gulf states and American investment companies. Ultimately, that leadership can only come from within the Premier League and/or from the UK government. We saw how easy it was for our government to kick the Russians out of Chelsea, but sadly, the government appears to value doing business with the likes of Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar above protecting our community assets. And that's what our football club is, a community asset. That's why I personally campaigned for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to buy Manchester United Football Club. I think Sir Jim understands our legacy, our values and our heritage, and he represents a viable alternative to state ownership. But I still wouldn't rule out the likes of Thomas Ziliakis, who advocate a fan ownership model. Viewers of this channel will remember that's exactly why I was promoting Michael Knighton's campaign to push a consortium that guaranteed fans owning a stake in the football club. There's no reason in my mind why Ratcliffe can't strengthen his bid by working with Ziliakis, Knighton and any other investors who support giving fans meaningful shares in our football club. I can tell you right now that Ziliakis and Knighton are both ready to bring financial support to Ratcliffe's bid. And if the Qataris want to be involved, let them be involved, but only as investors, not as outright owners, and definitely not to keep the Glazers in power. Personally, I don't want any new owners to have the power the current owners have. We don't need dictators, and I don't believe we need state ownership either. We need new owners working together and working with fans to make our football club great again. If rival bidders can work together and facilitate a fan ownership model that prevents us from being controlled by any one dictator, that, in my view, will be best for football and best for Manchester United. If we're run by people who know what they're doing and acting in the best interest of our football club, not for their own personal gain, we will soon pay off our debts. At least we'll pay them off sooner or later. In my opinion, the debt is not the problem. The current owners are the problem. And if they sell enough of their shares to carry on in the short term, that potentially leaves us vulnerable to even more debt. So, while I'll continue to support the upcoming protests, for me it's not just about getting the Glazers out of Manchester United Football Club. It's about taking back control of our football club. It's about giving us, the fans, a stake in MUSC. It's about finding new owners who will work for the fans and for the football club. And to do that, I think we do need help. Whether that's from the English Premier League, the UK government or the wider football community, I think this whole question of football ownership must be tackled once and for all. Over the past 18 years, Manchester United Football Club, a local football club with a global fan base, has been kicked around by an American family that puts money and their own personal financial gain first. It's time for that to change.
Say